gender reveals, reinforcing the gender binary, burning a hole in people's pockets, and burning down the planet whilst we're at it. That's still happening. Be wildly over the top like this one, where blue powder is sprayed out from a helicopter, and wow, this dude is so happy it's a boy, he even jumps in the pool. Watching this one, I was just thinking whichever car hits you first is the gender of your child. Like, what is going on? But it turns out it's a boy, and everyone is happy. Oh my god, look how thrilled this guy is. And this one really confused me because of all the ways to have a gender reveal, you have two grown adults in baby costumes battle it out to see which one wins. It turns out that they're having a boy, and so the boy literally beats the girl. It's tying into the video topic all too well. Okay, these balloons are actually setting off her trypophobia. I'm sorry if anyone else is also feeling super uncomfortable, but I really wanted to include this one. But clearly they spent thousands of dollars on this, and oh, it's revealed it's a boy, and oh my goodness, the excitement. He's so excited I thought he was actually gonna knock her over, just be like, huh, like she's carrying your child, mate, calm down. But it's okay. He rolls around on the floor himself. Oh, it's pink! But why'd you fall over, bro? Aren't you happy? He looks like he scored his final goal in a World Cup. Okay, they've got to get happier. They've got to get better. Let's see some more. Oh, okay, an urn. I haven't seen this reveal before. It's like a concoction. Oh, it's pink! Oh, is the excitement in the room with us? The only one that's excited here is what I'm presuming to be your other daughter? Oh dear. If I saw this as their daughter, I would burst into tears. This is such a cute little blanket setup and it feels Australian to me. Their third child is gonna be a girl. He's trying to keep strong, you can kind of tell. Good on you, mate, for trying, but yep. That's caught on camera now for future generations to see. Okay, I've got a twin situation for you here. The first child is revealed to be a girl. Oh, everyone's super happy. Okay, this is really cute. Everyone's very happy. Okay, let's see. What's in box number 2? Wait a second. Why is everyone calling for a boy? Like, what? Everyone. Why is he looking this excited? Was that real happiness that we saw before? Because this looks like real happiness. He scoops up his wife, kisses the dog, basically. There's quite differing levels here, aren't there? Okay, this is a new one. We haven't seen boxing yet. She has got really good skills. Oh, it's blue, so it's a boy. Oh my goodness. Wow, the excitement on the screen right now. It's barely able to stay contained within the screen. Why is all of this explosive joy reserved for boys? I thought this was meant to be a happy moment regardless of like whatever sort of genitalia your child is gonna have. We've all seen this one with the umbrella, I'm sure, as the umbrella gets tipped upside down and pink confetti falls down and he storms off with the first word being
What is it, Kaya? You having a baby brother, baby sister?
He's sad, he's angry, this dude shoots a gun to do the gender reveal. I can't quite imagine what sort of gender they were hoping for. And this dude is very angry. It would seem that boys are still best, but some of you may be quickly commenting, oh, but this is gender disappointment, this is completely valid, don't go telling people to police themselves. But why is it majority of the time gender disappointment about having a girl? Why is everyone so much more excited when they're gonna be having a boy? And my goodness, why are we still stuck in this gender binary? What about these kids who grow up to see these supposedly cute videos to see their parents are super disappointed in them before they've even left the womb? Through no fault of their own, mind you, just because of the genitalia that they're born with. My patrons were the ones that voted for this video, so you can thank them in the comment section down below, and they already have the extended and uncensored version of this video. But for everyone else, let's crack into it.
Oh, Pumpkin, I've had my share of disappointments too.
It's a girl.
Can you check again?
Why is everyone so ecstatic to be having a boy? Gender reveals, which are technically sex reveals, however, for YouTube purposes and because it's widely known as gender reveals, I'll be sticking to that even though it's literally just about a baby's genitalia. Despite being a modern phenomenon, it's still very common to this day. A quick science lesson for everybody who displays anger at the fact that they were having a girl. Sperm decides the sex of the baby. The egg is always X chromosome, like this clear blue diagram shows. And actually, more things come down to the condition location and age of the sperm than what you may think. Like, you know, all of this autism fear-mongering that's been happening over the past few years, and now Trump is trying to link it to Tylenol, which is like one of the only things which is safe for pregnant people to be able to take, like I have discussed in that previous video. Older sperm is actually linked to autism. Now look, autism doesn't need to be cured, it is not a disease, it's just better diagnosed these days. I just take issue with the fact that the blame keeps on falling solely on the mother. Older sperm is also linked to schizophrenia and leukemia too. But no, all of the blame keeps on going on women for not following their biological clocks and not having babies younger. Not to mention all of like these new social taboos which keep on coming up, like you're a bad mother to be if you're not eating organic, or you're not allowed to use a microwave, or other such like woo-woo nonsense. Can we stop blaming women, please? The thing which I find funniest is that this comes from the generation that actually used to commonly smoke whilst they were pregnant, so it's like, excuse me. This gender reveal by Rebecca Zamolo, which is using copyrighted music, so that's why it's silenced. They pop the balloon and they're so happy that they're going to be having a boy. But I want you to wait until the end, because it says, now our family is complete. As if it wouldn't be complete if you just had your daughter who is already in the picture frame with you. Now look, in Western cultures, one of each is fairly well known, as if people are trying to collect labubus or something. However, there is more fixation on achieving a boy birth. If the firstborn turns out to be a son, then there is less pressure on the mother, let's face it, on who the next one is. It's not necessarily just of having a balanced household of having one son and one daughter. It's that the son still holds more weight of importance. And there's all sorts of advice on how to make sure that you're going to have a boy and old wives' tales. Like, I remember growing up with this mustachioed scientist who wore glasses and like followed kids throughout their life. It sounds creepy, but it's not. It was for science. I remember him saying that fighter jet pilots and chefs typically had baby girls, think like Gordon Ramsay, because their sperm got cooked because female sperm are bigger than male sperm, therefore they are stronger. However, science has debunked this. Now, this family kept on having child after child after child because they kept on having girls. 5 children, in fact, but now your job is done, dear wife, because you have finally provided me an heir, even though we're not in like the 1800s anymore. But now you've got plenty of daughters to help with the housework and raise each other, and of course the son as well, like we talked about years ago. Remember in last week's video that Sicilian couple and the man wanted to keep on having children because she hadn't provided him with a son? Yeah, that was from 1978. We are still stuck there. This couple already has girls, but the reveal of having another one shows me everything that I need to know from his reaction. The strangest thing to me is people even posting these online, right? I'm absolutely someone who has brought up the importance of people being vulnerable and how useful that has actually been online. But there's a separate issue when it comes to your children, right? Because they're their own autonomous beings. Because the parent is violating their kids' privacy by sharing their kids' lives online with strangers. You know I'm against family vlogging, kids can't consent, and Tiffany Ferg has made a number of videos on this. I will link a couple for you down below. I'm of the opinion that sharing your kids' most embarrassing moments with the entire internet will kind of screw them up. We widely acknowledge this, at least my audience really do. There's a difference between discussing gender disappointment, or more accurately, once again, sex disappointment, and having this huge setup with balloons, pyrotechnics, friends and family gathered around, setting up the camera, getting everything all together, filming it, uploading it, editing it, and then publishing it, regardless of how sad or angry you are, all because you find out that the baby that you're carrying doesn't have the genitalia that you want. And we can see the impacts of this in real time with this couple who shared their gender reveal because they've got 2 other kids already. He's clearly angry and upset that they're going to be having another girl, and he's saying, oh, not again, not again. Pay attention to the eldest daughter because she walks off sad. She has probably already heard them having discussions about, oh, I really want a boy, I want a boy. Oh, why was this other one? Because she's already holding a baby. Why would they not a boy? I wanted a boy. She'll probably be carrying the burden of this knowledge around with her, not wanting to ruin the lives of her other sisters until they come across this video in the future and their lives are crushed too.
Can't have boys, lad. Can't have boys.
There's all sorts of old wives' tales of how to conceive a boy. It's all in the diet. You must time things like this. In that Clear Blue article I referenced earlier, they even discuss this. They go into food, positions, and timing of the deed. However, I'm really glad that they note that there is no scientific evidence backing any of these old wives' tales up. Once again, the sperm that wins decides. As we saw earlier, when it's revealed that people are having a boy, the excitement is palpable. It's basically jumping off the screen. Especially by the men, with some even having having like such joyous reactions that they are violent, like this guy. He finishes celebrating by kissing his very bemused wife, and I can only imagine the reaction he would have if he was this level of violent being happy. Scary. We still live in a patriarchal culture where boys are seen as better, and gender reveals show this through various ways, from girls' reveals being met with happiness or a shrug or kind of ignored, all the way to sadness and anger, and boys being mostly met with explosive, contagious joy, which everyone around joys in on. There are some where everyone involved is clearly super happy to be having a girl, but those are a lot more rare, and sadly, this does get a lot darker. There was a guy in New York who in September of 2024 his wife and stabbed his 2 daughters because the sex of their unborn baby that she was carrying was revealed to be a girl, not a boy like he wanted. She was 5 months pregnant and the daughters were 9 and 6 at the time. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison with 15 years of post-release supervision as part of the plea deal aimed at protecting the surviving daughters from the trauma of a trial. I'm so glad that they did that so his 2 poor daughters didn't have to go up and be witnesses at the stand and also share their first-hand experiences of what they suffered at their own father's hands. Those poor kids. He's forbidden from seeing his daughters until 2056, the maximum allowed, which only the girls can overrule if they eventually want contact. If I were them, I don't know if I'd ever want to have contact with him again, other than to say how much of a terrible person he is and how he should be rotting in hell. The daughters have been adopted by their maternal grandfather. I just cannot imagine how hard it's going to be for these girls knowing how much their father hated them to the point that he even murdered their mother because he was so angry that more girls would be brought into the world. Patriarchy is violence. It is not good for anybody. And this is the most violent end of the spectrum, but globally, son preference, which means that people would rather have a son than a daughter, and they often celebrate when people have a son and don't do anything when someone's having a daughter. Worldwide, 142 million girls are, quote, missing as a result of son preference and daughter aversion and gender-biased sex selection. These girls were unwanted, neglected, abused, or malnourished, deprived of the care they needed to survive. Or when they do survive in families that wanted them to be sons, they're often neglected, have worse health outcomes, and are often abused. Plus, there really is pressure on women to provide sons, even though, once again, the sperm is the thing that decides, but of course, women just keep being blamed for everything. She is still seen as letting the family down if she doesn't provide a son, an heir, even though we don't need to have those sorts of rules anymore because, especially us if you're watching this video, we don't have those sorts of laws where land can only be passed down from male heir to male heir, you know, we don't have that anymore.
It goes back to the day I was born.
You give me my son now. Push! Oh, no. Oh, no.
He wanted a son, and the fact that I was a girl didn't change his plan.
What do you mean?
My full legal name is Robin Charles Scherbatsky Jr.
It's actually really surprising to me that we're still having to have this conversation when there have been so many characters shown on screen who have shared their struggles. You know, this is like catharsis for the writers often, sharing their struggles of their parents wanting the other gender and resenting the child and then projecting all of this onto the child, that the child was a letdown. Like Robin Scherbatsky, for example. She was a girl, but her father really wanted a boy and raised her as such. There are others like Audrey and her sister from Atlantis, and the father really wanted boys.
But the funny thing was, he always wanted sons, right? One to run his machine shop, and the other to be middleweight boxing champion. But he got my sister and me instead.
But Audrey and her sister fulfilled their father's wishes by following his dreams for them anyway.
What happened to your sister?
She's 24 and know with a shot at the title next month. Anyway, I'm saving up so my papi and I can open another shop.
Just as girls. Even in the Avengers, not the version you're thinking of, the 1998 version.
To what do you attribute your overachievements?
My father always wanted a boy.
Oh, really? I failed to see the connection.
I had a feeling you would. So did he.
How on earth can you be this impressive as a woman? Well, because my father wanted a boy, so I had to overachieve, I had to try even harder, I had to prove myself to him. And there are so many more examples of this. I am positive that you know someone whose parents really wanted them to be a son instead of a daughter. It can affect people in all sorts of different ways. From constantly trying to please a parent to be able to earn their love, to taking on the activities and hobbies that the parent wanted their son to have instead, to rebelling against it.
I moved in with my mom, grew my hair out, became a Canadian pop star. You know, normal teen stuff. And you know the reason I throw like a girl, Dad, is because I am a girl.
To worst of all, becoming a TERF like J.K. Rowling. Yes, Joanne, her father desperately wanted her to be a boy and made sure that she knew it. Joanne's pen name is J.K. Rowling so that she would be taken seriously by people thinking that she was a man and not a frivolous, silly woman. And did you know that in 2000, she signed the first edition of the Goblet of Fire for her father for Father's Day saying, "Lots of love from your firstborn with 9 kisses." And what did he do? He sold it 3 years later for a profit. She's written all about this on her own website as well. She's twisted the bitter resentment towards her father and her struggles growing up being resented as a girl and not being what he wanted to be her excuse to project all of this onto trans people, saying that in her teen years, if she found a welcoming community online, that she may have been manipulated by these terrible people and by Big Pharma into transitioning to be a boy in order to be able to get her father's approval. There's a lot of heavy projection going on here. It just frustrates me, like, why are parents so committed to wanting to scar their kids to be able to force them to try and be exactly what the parent wants them to be, instead of appreciating their child for who they are, like they are their own autonomous person. They've got their own personality, dreams, goals, quirks, fears, everything. But instead it's like trying to force them into either a pink or a blue box, and that's all you're allowed to do.
I am starting to get a little bit anxious about gender disappointment. Not just from myself, but everybody around me. Everybody is hyping up, and I have as well, been hyping up for like a boy because we already have 2 girls. I'm just getting a little bit worried that if it is going to be another girl, that people won't be as happy.
Let's talk about gender disappointment and mental health. Like Ashley discussed there, she's anxious about other people's reactions if it does get revealed that she's going to be having another girl and them not being as excited, and that is completely understandable. People should be excited and supportive that you're having a baby, full stop. But then she says this.
For us, obviously I'm going to be stoked either way, because another girl means we're just going to keep trying until we get a boy.
So if it is a girl, they're going to keep trying for a boy, just like earlier. And the baby that she's pregnant with in that video, that means that she's going to have 3 kids under the age of 3. I just wish her all the luck in the world to be able to make it through that, because my goodness, that's a lot. And the thing is that there are absolutely women who are angry and sad if it turns out that they're having a son. Gender disappointment is real, she says, as her 2 sons watch on. I feel so much for these kids. Those poor kids knowing that their mother would rather be raising a daughter than either of them. God, that's heartbreaking. And in this one, neither of them are happy to be having a girl, but he's trying to do the decent thing by trying to be like, oh hey, it's okay, it'll be great. I can't wait for that poor girl to find out how excited her parents were that she was going to be coming into the world. Sex disappointment, as is discussed in this capsule piece by Alice Hampson. Dr. Chrissy Jayaraja, a consultant perinatal psychiatrist, says that a preference for having a male child has been well documented in Eastern cultures over the last few centuries, but gender disappointment is something that's become more discussed and is potentially more on the rise in Western cultures now. She wonders if this rise is due to the influence of social media. One possible explanation of gender disappointment in Western culture is the emerging trend of the idealization of gender, particularly in the wake of social media. We have seen the rise in popularity of pregnancy announcements made on online platforms, as well as gender reveal parties, with their videos becoming viral. The societal shift may relate to an emergence of the idealization of motherhood in a culture preoccupied with parenting perfectionism. And when I was reading the interviews of the women in this piece, a lot of the struggles they were having is because the gender binary is so strongly clung to. Like, for example, one was disappointed that it turned out that she was going to be having a boy because she saw her friends having all of like these cute parties and pamper parties, and she wanted to be able to throw a fairy party. Now, I would say you absolutely can do that as an adult, as I've argued in the past. It doesn't matter what age you are, what gender you are, you should be able to enjoy the things that you enjoy, dress the way you want to dress, do the things that you want to do. But I understand not everyone is as comfortable going around looking like a fairy like me. Perhaps we're just sad in this world because whimsy is not allowed to exist under patriarchy. Like, why can't a little boy have a fairy party? Why can't a little girl have a dinosaur party? wait a second, girls are allowed to have dinosaur parties. It's more that boys aren't allowed to show anything effeminate. I could do an entire video on tomboy girls actually, as one who was told through various means that boys are always better. This study, Is the Girl, Is Gender Disappointment a Mental Health or Socio-Cultural Issue, by Chrissy Jayaraja, raises that gender selection is a growing business, with parents who are able to do a blood test to find out the baby's sex at week 9. And there's also IVF screening, which can, quote, weed out inherited illnesses, read Eugenics 2.0. This is all possible in the UK under that guise, but really you're still able to find out the genitalia of the baby. But around the world, you can actually pay for this service, which unsurprisingly favours boys. Like I mentioned earlier, son preference is better known than being disappointed in a daughter or gender disappointment. In Eastern cultures, as this study shares, possible reasons for son preference include the belief that it will create financial stability through continuing the family inheritance of wealth and receipt of dowry, which is financial payment to the family on marriage of the son to a bride. There is also a weighted emphasis on traditional gender roles, identity, and expectations. Men are seen as powerful, independent, and dominant, whereas women are seen as nurturers, put in family obligations first. Sociologists assert that these beliefs in the high value of men as the cornerstone of a patriarchal society are ingrained, passed down through families via modelling, social learning, as well as the internalization of social ideas and values as personal ideas and values, self-determination. Namely, women accepting their subordinate place in society and by doing so, aiding preservation of the culture. And when I was reading a lot of that last part, you were kind of saying that's not just applicable to Eastern cultures. Focusing more on Southeast Asia, I've shouted out their account before, but Pink Lardu has made really big waves in this area.
One of the first sexist customs a South Asian girl will experience is that of a boy's birth being celebrated while a girl's birth isn't. Can we expect society to treat women fairly if we treat them as inferior to boys from birth? In 2015, I had a theory that if I could just share a picture of one family celebrating their daughter's birth with Pink Laddu, other families would do the same. It worked. I shared that one picture and the campaign took off. To date, tens of thousands of girls have been celebrated with Pink Laddu that we know of.
And thanks to her work, more people are celebrating when a girl is born, which is huge strides. But could gender disappointment be a mental illness? Handel et al. Argues that gender disappointment should not be considered a distinct category of mental illness. They propose the main issue lies in gender essentialism, the belief that only children of a particular sex are capable of certain gendered activities, personality traits, and stereotype behaviours, like girls like in ballet and boys like in football, for example. Once again, we're dealing with this nonsense like I talked about earlier. Letting go of gender norms would do everybody so much good. But there are people who want gender disappointment, which once again is actually sex disappointment, to be recognised as a mental illness. However, there are massive risks to this, as the study points out. It could have serious implications. First, in the guise of being socio-culturally sensitive, it may risk strengthening claims for medical help and support for choices that may be both sexist and illegal under the UK abortion laws. Yeah, so this is the whole aborting if it turns out to be a girl. Yeah, that's a problem. We don't want that to be happening. It's scary, right? And this is already an issue when it comes to screening and Eugenics 2.0. I had researched about this, but I didn't want to make that video any longer than it was. But for example, there are about 50% less babies born with Down syndrome in Europe because of this screening. One of my patrons was telling me that the typical first reaction from doctors when it's found out in the countries where this is allowed is, okay, well, do you want to get rid of them? That being the first response is scary. We do not want that to be happening when it comes to the genitalia of the baby, And the thing is that postnatal depression is already a recognised mental illness. And the study points out this could actually risk misdiagnosis. Clinicians have noted that most uncomplicated gender disappointment presents as mild and self-limiting, resolving soon after birth without the need for intervention, as the act of seeing and holding the healthy baby in their arms is often enough for most to banish previous disappointment or doubt. However, some individuals may require more intensive support, often psychological in nature, in preparation for managing expectations on arrival of the newborn, with careful monitoring thereafter of the mother and child relationship. Back to that capsule piece from before, one of the mothers interviewed said, "My advice to anyone who has gender disappointment is that often gender actually has nothing to do with it. You can't predict their personalities, and in my experience, they're often not tied to gender. The sooner you let go of that, the sooner you can let your child be who they want to be and are meant to be." And yes, this is absolutely the right attitude. This gender binary, which has only gotten stronger since 2020 and the lockdown and things have gotten really rigid, it's not helping anyone by meaning you can only be blue box or pink box, like only one or the other. But you know, daughters are exhausting to raise, right? I mean, you have to teach her how to do the chores and look after others, but actually, she should know how to do that automatically because she's a girl, so then you have to just scold her for not living up to, like, the gendered expectations which are put on her. You have to constantly monitor what she wears and what she looks like, tell her if she's too fat or too thin, and also monitor her if she looks too slutty. I mean, you have to control her body and teach her to be ashamed of it. Boys are just so much easier to raise, right? You don't have to set any of these boundaries with them like you do with the girls. You don't have to monitor them as much as they do with the girls. I mean, the boys are totally okay, right? There's no loneliness crisis. There's no violent misogyny going on. No, everything's fine. Boys are so easy, right? But there is a problem if he isn't doing the traditional masculine things though, right? Like what if he takes an interest in dancing and baking? Oh my god, is he crying? Oh, be a man, play rugby, bottle up your feelings. Like, this is what I mean when I say having to stick to the gender binary really helps nobody. Billy Elliot came out in the year 2000. How are we still stuck here?
It's a boy. And what a boy!
That's the umbilical cord. It's a girl.
A girl! Oh, Marge, we have a wonderful baby girl.
Then why no pictures?
Oh, there are pictures. I keep them where I need the most cheering up.
Does anybody else miss when The Simpsons was like this? Like, I actually got kind of choked up watching this. When it comes to gender reveal parties, I think that we can all agree with the woman who actually originated this in 2008. Yes, that was when this monstrosity started, when, what did she do? Was it some big elaborate thing? It was...
We had a cake. That's the cake that started this whole trend. A very simple cake.
Are we serious? All of this for a bit of pink icing in a cake? That has led to this? She said, and I quote, "Stop having these stupid parties. For the love of God, stop burning things down to tell everyone about your kid's pee. No one cares but you." I couldn't agree more. And plus, the thing is that we've also seen in May of this year, Israeli soldiers had a gender reveal party by blowing up residential properties in Gaza.
It's a boy.
Laughter, destroying people's homes and killing them. Yeah, can we please stop with the gender reveal parties? Like, this is a sign that it should be over, right? You don't want to be doing the same things that they're doing. Really, I hope the biggest thing that people take away from this video is creating and having this very specific image and mindset of what your child will be like, what kind of school they'll go to, what sort of career they'll do, and like all these other ways that they can like represent you better is something that's best to be let go of. All of this just reduces your child's own autonomy. The role of a parent is to nurture, is to help them flourish, not to make them into a copy of you or make them fulfill the dreams that you were never able to, nor force them into a blue or pink category. The fairies from Sleeping Beauty taught us that when you're trying to force this, it just ends up in a big ugly mess. I think that we can all agree that celebrating a baby being born is a wonderful thing, but that's not what gender reveal parties are about. They're more of a personification of gender stereotypes. Being there to support the family and the child as they grow up is what matters. Being a member of that village matters so much more than some 15-second viral clip. Especially if that child grows up and sees their mum, dad, or both of them being sad or angry at the fact that they have the quote wrong genitalia over something which they have literally no control over. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave the baby bottle emoji because I think that we can all agree some of these parents are kind of acting like babies in these videos. Like, just no, let's just put an end to it now, can we? It's just quite clear that some people need to do self-growth before they bring a child into the world, okay? And a massive thank you to my patrons for all of your continued support. I really, really do appreciate it. And again, for voting for this topic because it sent me down a few different rabbit holes, which is always interesting to do. Extra special thank you to all of my top tier Trash Panda enablers. Alyssa, Birgit, Carrie Quake, Danielle, Amberly McCulley, Jamisa Brown, Cole, Laura Bell, Megan Connolly, Mila Gautier, Natalie R, Nathan, Nicole H, Ryder, River, Spooky Jade, Tammy Poitras, Tonya Banyay, Veru Cat Mama, Zophema. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week and I shall see you all next time. Bye. Now let's see if the fallout after Taylor Swift's new album release is gonna bring up anything that we need to talk about for next time.
Ah, 2 for flinching. See ya, Milo.